You don't wake up tired because of sleep. You wake up tired because your body failed to repair overnight. Most people after 40 believe fatigue is simply the cost of getting older. They blame busy schedules, responsibilities, or poor sleep habits. So they try to sleep earlier, sleep longer, or sleep more on weekends. Yet the exhaustion remains. Because the real problem is not how long you slept. It is what your body was able to do while you were sleeping. Night is not just rest. Night is maintenance. Every night your body is scheduled to repair muscle fibers, regulate hormones, stabilize blood sugar, reset inflammation, and restore brain chemistry. When you were younger, this process happened automatically. You woke up refreshed even after short sleep, but after 40, the repair system becomes sensitive. It depends on signals, not just time in bed. Late meals delay recovery, blood sugar swings interrupt hormone release, chronic stress blocks deep sleep chemistry, low movement during the day reduces nighttime repair demand, and silent inflammation keeps the body in alert mode instead of recovery mode. So you may sleep 7 hours, yet your body only repaired for 3. Morning fatigue is not a mystery. It is unfinished work. Coffee temporarily hides it. Motivation temporarily fights it. But neither replaces repair. If your mornings feel heavier than your nights, your sleep is not the problem. Your recovery is. And once you understand what stops the body from repairing overnight, you stop chasing longer sleep and start restoring real energy. The body repairs in stages, not continuously. Many people imagine sleep as a single block of rest. You lie down, hours pass, and energy returns. But biological recovery follows a sequence, and after 40, that sequence becomes fragile. During the first phase of sleep, the brain slows electrical activity and begins sorting information collected throughout the day. This is mental clearing, not physical repair. If you wake up often at night, this phase repeats again and again, and the deeper stages never arrive. The second phase matters more. Here the body lowers heart rate and temperature. Blood flow shifts away from muscles toward organs responsible for detoxification and regulation. This is where insulin sensitivity begins resetting. If late eating or alcohol is present, the body stays busy processing instead of repairing. And then comes the critical window, deep sleep. Deep sleep is not longer sleep, it is different sleep. This is when growth hormone releases, muscle fibers rebuild, micro-inflammation is reduced, the immune system recalibrates, the brain clears metabolic waste accumulated from thinking, worrying, and concentrating. Most adults over 40 spend far less time here than they believe, because deep sleep requires biological safety signals, stable blood sugar, a low stress response, a drop in core body temperature, and physical fatigue from daytime movement. If one signal is missing, the brain stays in protective mode. You remain unconscious, but not restored. That is why someone can sleep 8 hours and wake up foggy, while another sleeps 6 and wakes clear. Repair time, not sleep time, determines energy. After deep sleep, the body enters REM cycles. This stage stabilizes mood and emotional regulation. When REM shortens, patience drops. Small problems feel heavy. Irritation rises quickly during the day. People often call this psychological stress, but it often began as incomplete biological repair. Modern life quietly disrupts each stage. Screens delay melatonin timing. Late work keeps cortisol elevated. Irregular meals confuse metabolic signals. Sedentary days remove the body's reason to rebuild tissue. Constant mental stimulation prevents neurological shutdown, so the body stays on standby all night, conserving instead of restoring. You wake up technically rested, yet biologically unfinished, and when this repeats for years, the body adapts downward. Morning stiffness, afternoon crashes, and dependence on stimulants become normal, not because aging removes energy, but because repair windows keep getting missed. Understanding this changes the goal. The solution is not forcing more hours in bed. The solution is protecting the hours where repair is allowed to happen. One of the most common mistakes people make after 40 is trying to fix morning fatigue in the morning. They add stronger coffee. They scroll their phone to wake up the brain. They rush into activity hoping motion will create energy. But energy is not created after waking. Energy is revealed after repair. What you feel at 7 a.m. was decided the evening before. The body prepares for recovery hours before sleep begins. Hormones, temperature, digestion, and the nervous system must gradually shift from alert mode into restoration mode. If that transition never happens, sleep becomes unconscious waiting, not healing. The first interference is light. Artificial light after sunset tells the brain the day is continuing. Melatonin release delays, and without melatonin timing, deep sleep arrives late and ends early. You stay in lighter sleep cycles, easily disturbed by noise, movement, or internal signals like digestion. The second interference is food timing. Late meals force the liver and pancreas to remain active during the night. Instead of repairing tissue, the body manages glucose. Blood sugar rises, falls, and rises again. Each fluctuation triggers micro-awakenings the brain barely remembers, but the body pays for. You don't wake up fully, but you never go fully down. The third interference is mental load. Unresolved tasks, decision fatigue, and constant information input keep the nervous system in a defensive posture. Cortisol stays slightly elevated. Heart rate variability drops. The body refuses to enter deep repair because biologically, it believes the environment is not safe enough. This is why some nights feel long but shallow. You are asleep, yet alert beneath the surface. Physical inactivity also plays a hidden role. Repair requires a reason. If muscles were never challenged during the day, growth hormone release is minimal. The brain preserves resources rather than investing in rebuilding. No demand, no reconstruction. Over time, the body adapts to this pattern. Morning heaviness becomes familiar. The afternoon slump becomes expected. People assume it is aging, but it is scheduling. Recovery was placed at the end of the day, yet preparation never began before the night. So the body did exactly what it was instructed to do: remain available instead of restore. When fatigue is chronic, the problem is rarely the mattress, the pillow, or even the number of hours slept. It is the absence of signals that permit repair. Change the signals, and mornings change first. To restore energy after 40, the night must be protected long before bedtime arrives. Recovery does not start when you close your eyes. It starts when the body believes the day is ending. This belief is created through patterns, not intention. The first pattern is movement. Gentle physical activity during the day signals the body that tissues will need rebuilding later. Walking, light resistance, stretching, even consistent household activity creates microscopic demand in muscle fibers and joints. Without this demand, deep sleep has no assignment. The brain conserves instead of repairing. The goal is not exhaustion, it is evidence of use. The second pattern is metabolic stability. Energy repair requires stable blood sugar before night. Large late meals, constant snacking, or sugar spikes force the body into management mode instead of restoration mode. When insulin stays elevated, growth hormone stays suppressed. The body cannot repair while it is storing. Finishing meals earlier does more than help digestion. It gives biology permission to switch roles, from processing to rebuilding. The third pattern is nervous system quieting. Most people carry the day into the night without transition. Conversations, news, work decisions, and rapid visual input keep the brain forecasting tomorrow instead of closing today. The body stays prepared for response. A short slowing period changes the signal. Lower lighting, reduced stimulation, steady breathing, predictable routines repeated nightly. The brain learns safety through repetition. Safety allows depth. Temperature also matters more than comfort. The body needs a slight drop in core temperature to enter deep sleep cycles. Warm showers earlier in the evening, cooler air and lighter bedding create the gradient the brain uses to initiate repair chemistry. Without this drop, sleep remains light regardless of duration. Finally, consistency trains timing. Going to bed at wildly different hours forces the body to renegotiate hormone release every night. Melatonin, cortisol, and growth hormone lose synchronization. The result is technically sufficient sleep, but biologically mistimed recovery. Energy returns when timing stabilizes. None of these changes are dramatic, but together they form a message repeated daily. The environment is predictable, resources are available, repair is safe to perform, and when the body trusts that message, it stops guarding the night and starts using it. Morning alertness is not built by stimulation, it is built by permission. Give the body permission to repair, and it will return energy you thought aging had taken. Many people search for a single solution to constant fatigue: a supplement, a special mattress, a stronger coffee routine, a perfect 8-hour target. But recovery after 40 rarely responds to a single change. Because the body does not fail in one place, it drifts in many small places at once. Energy is the result of alignment. When the brain, hormones, metabolism, and nervous system all receive the same message, repair becomes efficient. When signals conflict, the body hesitates. You may go to bed early, but with elevated stress. You may avoid stress, but eat late. You may eat well, but stay inactive all day. Each habit partially helps and partially blocks, so the body chooses caution instead of restoration. This is why some people feel unpredictable energy. One good morning followed by 3 heavy ones. Not random, just inconsistent signals. The body trusts patterns more than effort. A single healthy day cannot overcome 6 irregular ones, but small repeated behaviours gradually re-educate the system. Wake at a similar time daily. Expose the eyes to natural morning light. Move the body before noon. Keep meals within a stable window. Create a quiet period before bed. None of these directly produce energy. They produce reliability, and reliability allows repair. After several weeks, something subtle happens. You stop negotiating with mornings. The alarm sounds and your body responds instead of resisting. The mind clears faster. The need for stimulation decreases. Afternoon crashes soften. This is not excitement or motivation. It is biological completion. Energy feels calm, not forced. Many adults mistakenly believe vitality must feel intense, but real recovery produces steadiness. You can focus longer, irritation decreases, decisions feel lighter because the brain is not compensating for unfinished maintenance. And importantly, you stop chasing sleep. You respect it. Sleep becomes a process you support throughout the day, not an event you attempt at night. Fatigue taught you something useful. The body never stopped working for you. It only waited for conditions where repair was allowed. Once those conditions exist consistently, you do not wake up with new energy. You wake up with energy that was finally completed. There is a moment when people begin to notice the difference. Not in the first night, not even in the first week, but gradually mornings stop feeling like recovery from yesterday and start feeling like preparation for today. This shift matters because chronic fatigue changes behaviour long before it changes health. When energy is unreliable, you plan smaller days. You avoid physical effort. You postpone decisions. You tolerate discomfort because solving problems feels heavier than living with them. Over time, life contracts around your energy level. You call it personality. You call it responsibility. But often it is physiology guiding your choices. After consistent repair begins, capacity expands quietly. You wake without bargaining for 5 more minutes. Movement feels available rather than demanding. You start tasks earlier because the brain is clear enough to engage. Even social interaction feels lighter because attention is present. This is not just about feeling better. It changes what you believe you are capable of. Fatigue teaches limitation. Recovery teaches participation. Many adults over 40 slowly detach from activities they once enjoyed, not from lack of interest, but from lack of usable energy. They conserve effort unconsciously. They choose shorter walks, simpler meals, fewer conversations, more passive evenings. The body becomes efficient at preservation instead of engagement. But when repair becomes dependable, motivation no longer has to push the body forward. Energy invites behaviour. You do not force discipline, you support momentum. This is why addressing repair early matters more than treating symptoms later. Caffeine can override tiredness for hours. Willpower can override it for days, but only recovery changes the baseline. A restored baseline affects every system. Metabolism stabilizes because glucose is managed overnight. Mood stabilizes because REM cycles complete emotional processing. Pain decreases because inflammation is reduced instead of accumulated. Focus improves because neural waste is cleared rather than carried into the day. Health is not built during effort. It is consolidated during recovery, and the longer fatigue persists, the more the body adapts downward, reducing output to match available repair capacity. People assume they are slowing with age, but often they are matching unfinished maintenance. When repair returns, pace returns. Not youthful intensity, but sustainable output. You can work, move, think and rest without the sharp peaks and crashes that once structured your day. Consistency replaces compensation. Eventually you notice something subtle but important. Even difficult days no longer drain you for days afterward. Because the night now completes what the day required. This is the true purpose of sleep after 40. Not escape from exhaustion, but restoration of capability. And once capability returns, discipline becomes easier, health decisions become simpler, and daily life requires less negotiation. You do not gain extra hours in the day, you regain usable hours within them. At some point, the question stops being, how do I stop feeling tired? And becomes, what kind of life does reliable energy make possible? Because fatigue is not just a sensation, it quietly shapes identity. When mornings are heavy, you become cautious with commitments. When afternoons crash, you delay important tasks. When evenings drain you, relationships receive what remains instead of what matters. You adjust expectations downward to protect yourself from disappointment. Over years, this creates a smaller life, not by intention, but by adaptation. Reliable recovery reverses that adaptation. You begin noticing that you no longer calculate every action against your remaining energy. You do not measure conversations by how quickly they can end. You do not postpone movement until a better day. You simply participate. Your energy changes decision-making speed. With chronic fatigue, the brain avoids optional effort. Complex choices feel threatening because thinking itself consumes resources. So you default to habit, even unhealthy ones, because they require less processing. When recovery stabilizes, cognition regains flexibility. You can pause before reacting. You can consider alternatives. You can plan ahead without mental resistance. This is why restored sleep often improves discipline without trying. It is not increased motivation, it is decreased friction. Many people try to fix behavior first. Strict routines, aggressive schedules, high expectations. But discipline built on low energy feels like force. It collapses under stress because the body is already negotiating survival. Energy turns discipline into preference. You choose earlier nights because mornings feel valuable. You choose movement because it improves tomorrow. You choose steadier meals because the body responds clearly. Habits stop being rules and become feedback. Relationships change as well. Fatigue narrows emotional tolerance. Small inconveniences feel personal. Normal family noise feels intrusive. Patience shortens because the brain protects its limited reserve. With consistent repair, emotional capacity widens. You listen longer. You respond slower. You recover faster from irritation. Others interpret this as personality improvement, but often it is metabolic stability expressed as patience. The body and behavior were never separate. Long-term fatigue also affects self-trust. You hesitate to commit because you cannot predict how you will feel tomorrow. So opportunities shrink to match certainty. Reliable recovery restores predictability. You begin trusting your own availability again, and trust creates engagement. You volunteer for tasks. You schedule activities ahead. You invest attention into plans instead of reacting day to day. Life becomes proactive instead of protective. Importantly, this shift does not require extreme optimization. It requires removing chronic interference, consistent sleep timing, daytime movement, stable evening routines, reduced late stimulation. These do not add effort. They remove conflict between systems that once competed at night. After several months, people often describe the same experience. They do not feel extraordinary. They feel normal again. And normal, after years of fatigue, feels powerful. Not because energy is high, but because it is dependable. You wake knowing roughly how the day will feel. You plan without fear of collapse. You engage without calculating cost. That reliability changes ambition. You attempt projects that once felt unrealistic. You reconnect with interests that required sustained focus. You participate in family life instead of observing it from exhaustion. So the real outcome of better repair is not just better sleep. It is a wider range of possible days, and over time, a wider range of possible years. Energy does not only determine how you feel today, it determines how much life you're willing to enter tomorrow. There is an important truth many people realize late. The body keeps adapting to whatever you repeatedly show it. If nights are irregular, it learns unpredictability. If days are sedentary, it learns conservation. If stress never resolves, it learns vigilance. The body does not argue with habits, it organizes around them. So fatigue persisting for years is rarely a single failure. It is a successful adaptation to unclear signals. After 40, adaptation becomes slower, but also more loyal. What you repeat consistently, the body trusts deeply, and what the body trusts, it prepares for. If evenings are always stimulating, the brain prepares for alertness at night. If meals arrive late, metabolism prepares for nighttime digestion. If mornings start abruptly, cortisol surges aggressively to compensate. Eventually, the body stops expecting restoration altogether. It expects interruption. This is why sudden changes often feel ineffective. One early night does not convince the brain. One week of walking does not retrain hormones. One calm evening does not lower long-held vigilance. The body waits for proof, repetition over time. Consistency is not discipline for the mind. It is evidence for biology. Think of recovery as a contract. Each day you signal when activity happens, when food arrives, when stimulation ends, and when quiet begins. After enough repetition, the body signs the agreement. Then repair becomes automatic again. This is also why extremes fail. Very late nights followed by very early mornings. Strict routines followed by chaotic weekends. Intense workouts followed by long inactivity. Large changes create large confusion. Small stable patterns create clarity. Clarity reduces protective responses. Protective responses block deep sleep. When protection is unnecessary, restoration resumes. Many people look for dramatic improvements, a sudden burst of energy, a morning transformation. But biological repair returns gradually. First, the mind clears faster after waking. Then stiffness decreases. Then afternoon crashes shorten. Then emotional steadiness improves. Each sign is small, but together they indicate the same thing. The night is finally completing its work. At this stage, you may notice you need less stimulation to function. Coffee becomes optional rather than essential. Motivation becomes consistent rather than forced. Even hunger signals stabilize because hormonal timing has synchronized. The body begins predicting tomorrow again and prepares you for it overnight. Another subtle change appears in decision-making. When energy is uncertain, you protect resources by delaying choices. When energy is reliable, you act earlier, not impulsively, but confidently. Because your brain no longer fears the cost of attention. People often believe aging reduces capability. In reality, inconsistent repair reduces usable capacity. Once repair stabilizes, Capability returns within realistic limits. You may not feel 20 again, but you stop feeling depleted, and this difference matters more than intensity. Intensity fades quickly. Stability compounds. Stable energy allows regular movement. Regular movement improves metabolism. Better metabolism supports deeper sleep. Deeper sleep strengthens stability. The cycle finally runs forward instead of backward. You did not add energy, you removed interruption, and the body resumed doing what it was always designed to do: restore enough each night so tomorrow does not feel heavier than today. When people ask what changed, the answer sounds simple: nothing dramatic. Just repeated signals the body could finally believe. At the end, fatigue teaches a quiet lesson. The body was never working against you. It was protecting you under unclear conditions. For years, you may have tried to force energy, pushing through mornings, relying on stimulation, accepting crashes as normal. And because you could still function, you assume the system was intact. But functioning is not the same as repairing. The body can operate on incomplete recovery for a long time. It simply lowers expectations to survive the pattern. Focus becomes shorter. Patience becomes thinner. Motivation depends on urgency rather than clarity. Life continues, just narrower. What changes everything is not a dramatic intervention. It is respect for timing. You begin ending the day deliberately instead of collapsing into sleep. You move during daylight so the night has purpose. You quiet stimulation so hormones can shift roles. You keep rhythms predictable so the brain stops preparing for interruption. Gradually, sleep stops being a gamble. You no longer wonder how tomorrow will feel. You wake with a baseline you recognize. This reliability removes a hidden mental burden, the need to negotiate with your own body every morning. And once negotiation ends, energy becomes usable. You plan earlier. You commit with confidence. You show up fully because you expect to be present, not just awake. Many people chase motivation when what they lack is recovery. They read productivity advice, create strict schedules, push harder against resistance. But resistance often comes from unfinished repair, not weak discipline. When recovery completes consistently, discipline feels lighter, and decisions simplify because the brain has capacity to follow through. Health habits stabilize because effort no longer feels like sacrifice. You stop trying to manage exhaustion and start managing rhythm. After 40, vitality is not created by intensity. It is protected by regularity. The goal is not perfect sleep. The goal is dependable repair. Once repair becomes dependable, energy stops being a daily question and becomes a quiet background support, like stable footing beneath every action. You still have responsibilities, you still face stress, you still live busy days, but the night now finishes what the day required, and that changes how long you can keep doing what matters. So if you wake tired most mornings, do not immediately blame age or effort or lack of willpower. Look at whether your body was given permission to repair, because sleep is not the reward after a long day. It is the preparation for a meaningful one, and when preparation is respected, energy returns not as excitement, but as reliability, the kind that carries you through years, not hours. If this helped you understand why your mornings feel heavier than they should, stay with this channel. We break down simple biological patterns that quietly shape health after 40, so you can adjust small habits before they become large limitations. Your body repairs every night it is allowed to. From now on, give it the conditions it needs, and let tomorrow feel lighter than yesterday.